Welcome to the Wyoming Women's Business Center's 2021 webinar series. Today's presentation is Ready to Start a Business? I'm Christine Langley with the Wyoming Women's Business Center, and I'll be your speaker today. You'll notice the Zoom webinar bar on the bottom of your screen, and I just want to call attention to the questions panel. If you have any questions during the webinar today, I want you to use those to communicate with me. So immediately following this presentation, we're going to launch a survey, and I ask that you complete the survey because it provides us, as well as our funding partners, with valuable information. So all of our participants are muted just to minimize background noise. So once again, if you have any questions during the presentation, just type them into that questions panel. All right, so we're going to get started today with some quick information about the Wyoming Women's Business Center, and then I'll dive right into our topic. And then I'll finish up with a Q&A at the end. So this is a 30-minute format. I'm going to leave some room at the end for questions, but I appreciate everybody joining us today. So this is being recorded. It's going to be available on our YouTube channel. You can just go to youtube.com and search for Wyoming Women's Business Center. I always recommend that you subscribe to our channel, check out any of the other business education content that we've provided over the last several years. All right, so what is the WWBC? Well, we are a nonprofit organization, and our mission is to enable and empower Wyoming entrepreneurs. And of course, we have a special emphasis on women. And so we do our work through three distinct programs. The first is our business training and counseling program that's always free. The second is our microloan program, which offers loans from $500 all the way up to $50,000. And that's specifically for businesses that have been denied from a traditional lending source. So we don't compete with your traditional bank. Instead, we're a resource or a backup resource for entrepreneurs that are unable to secure traditional lending. And then the third is the Artist Development Center. And we actually run that in conjunction with our Works of Wyoming store in downtown Laramie. But what I really want to get across to everybody is that our specialty is dealing with micro enterprises. So what's a micro enterprise? Well, it's a business that has less than 6 employees. Now, the majority are 1 or 2 person businesses, and these businesses typically are able to launch for under $35,000. So these are businesses like yoga studios and hairstylists and in-home daycare providers or marketing consultants or cleaning businesses, cleaning services, right? These are our clients. All right. So to become one of our clients, you can go to wyomingwomen.org. And this is just a screenshot of our homepage, and you'll see the sign up now button front and center. If you click on that, it will take you to an online application form, and you can complete that application again for free and become one of our clients. The reason that you might want to become one of our clients is because you'll have access to even more educational content that isn't available on our YouTube channel for free. And you'll also have access to our in-house business counselor or counselors. I'm a business counselor, Jonathan Howdyshell is a business counselor. And so you'll have access to one-on-one business counseling if that's something that you're interested in. So always encourage people to become a client and see what other resources you can garner at no charge. All right, so let's jump into our topic today, which is starting a business, right? I want to understand, first of all, kind of who we have on the line with us. So I'm just going to launch this quick poll. And the question is, what stage of business development are you in? So are you at the idea formation stage where you're thinking about the possibilities? Are you at the business planning stage where you've kind of honed in on an idea and you're ready to start developing a plan or writing a business plan? Are you an early startup, meaning you recently launched and opened for business, but you've been open for less than 6 months? Or are you a startup business and you've been in business for less than 2 years? Okay, kind of an early startup situation. So I'll give you guys a couple more seconds to answer. It would make sense that most of the people on this webinar today would be in the idea formation or business planning stage. And that is what it looks like I'm seeing. Excellent. All right, good stuff. I'll close that out. So what I'm going to do today is really walk you through the steps that we recommend you complete prior to launching your business. Now, does this mean that if you didn't or don't complete every single one of these steps, you're destined to failure? Well, no, it doesn't mean that. Okay. But it does mean that you may encounter some problems that could have been avoided. And so while these steps might feel a little overwhelming in some cases and sometimes not very much fun, I assure you there is help and guidance and support every step of the way, not only here at the Women's Business Center, but through other economic development agencies across the state here in Wyoming. So I always encourage you, try not to get overwhelmed because we can definitely take this one step at a time. And tonight is really just about understanding the steps. And then if you're ready to jump in, then I can help you step by step. All right. So this is your overview. Okay, so for those of you, and most of you tonight, are in the idea formation stage. That's really the very first step that we recommend is market research. So don't let this term scare you. It's really just business language, business speak for investigating your business idea. And a whole bunch of this you've probably already done naturally. So for example, let's say you're interested in opening an in-home daycare. And it may be because you or someone that you know looked for a daycare option and couldn't find one, right? Meaning that it appears there's a demand that's just not being filled. So that recognition is actually part of your market research. So there's some questions that you're going to want to answer to ensure that your business idea is viable. And those questions include things like determining what the demand is in your area or your market, what your market size is, meaning how many customers are even possible. And are there any economic indicators for this business? So an example of that might be if there's a major employer in your area that's looking to hire hundreds of workers, and that's going to increase the need for your business idea. All right, the next step is to investigate locations for your business and all the details around setting up. And then finally, you're going to want to understand just how saturated your market is with the same types of businesses, right? To understand, again, if your idea is viable. And that information is going to delve really nicely into determining pricing for your business, which can be based both on your costs and what your market is willing to pay. So all that is embedded in market research. After you've done a whole bunch of that market research work, which is really an ongoing process, even after you launch your business, because understanding your market conditions never really ends, now it's time to dive into completing a competitive analysis. So a whole lot of the information that you gathered in market research is going to help you to complete a SWOT analysis on your business as well as your competitors' businesses. All right, so what is a SWOT? Well, it's really just a listing of strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. And so it's really important that you spend some time analyzing these questions and really thinking about the reality of your business idea. Because I've got lots of clients that get really excited about marketing their business and they want to jump right into things like shirts and hats and social media accounts and websites. But I always caution you about putting the cart before the horse here. Your market research and your competitive analysis, it's going to help you determine the viability of your idea before you go and sink a bunch of money and substantial time into this business. And so before you take any major risks like quitting your day job, help me help you and just commit to doing this initial work before you commit to a business launch. All right, so let's assume you did that work. And now you're convinced that your business idea is viable and you're ready to start planning your own business launch. Well, the next key step is to write your actual business plan. And if you're like most of my clients, this is the part where you roll your eyes, you let out a big sigh because no one that I've ever worked with gets excited about sitting down and writing a business plan. And so what I've found is that most of the time it's because business plans can sort of feel like an academic assignment. And most people don't want to go back to school, right? Especially entrepreneurs, because we want to start a business. We don't want to go to school. So here's my suggestion. When it comes to writing a business plan, I want you to try and think of it like it's a roadmap. It's really your directions to success. So I'm not a big fan of writing an academic business plan that, is traditionally 40 pages long with lots of graphs and charts. And the reason is because I work with micro enterprises, right? So these are businesses, again, at their height, they have less than 6 employees and they launch for under $35,000. There's no need to go that in depth. For these kinds of businesses, I want a boots on the ground business plan, meaning I want a plan on how you're actually going to pull this off step by step. Like literally in the first 90 days, what are you doing? What's your action plan? And so for that kind of plan, what we're really doing is just answering a series of questions. So with the Women's Business Center, I always like to recommend that clients attend our DreamBuilder program. And so we have one that just started, actually a facilitated training started on September 7th, and I'm about to enter week 3 of that. But you always have the option of registering for DreamBuilder and really going at your own pace because it's an online program that you can take by yourself. So this online course, you can watch it on your schedule, but what's really cool about it is it has this embedded business plan tool. So you're going to educate yourself on business planning, and they're going to take you through, a series of examples, but then they're going to ask you some questions and you'll answer. And the answers to those questions are actually going to build the guts of your business plan. And at the end of the course, you hit a button and all those answers that you typed in throughout your educational process, through that DreamBuilder class, is going to automatically formulate into this organized business plan. And it even comes with a table of contents. So I really like to facilitate the program because it answers your questions along the way instead of you just being kind of isolated by yourself on this online course. But different strokes for different folks. So just depending on what you think makes most sense for you. If you are going to do this, then I recommend that you dedicate anywhere between 3 and 4 hours of time each week so that you can actually get to the finish line within a reasonable period of time. It's somewhere between 12 and 15 hours of pure content. And then you'll have to dedicate a little bit more time to actually answering those questions and maybe doing a little bit of research on your own. So if you attended one of my 6-week facilitated courses, this is what the schedule would look like. And you would be getting through, certain chapters or courses each week that turns into graduation at the very end. So I always recommend that you view your business plan as a living, breathing document. You're never really done writing it because it's just a continuing plan for success, and it should really help guide you and remind you of your intention. All right, so after you have experienced either the DreamBuilder course or really gone through and written an entire business plan, then I highly recommend that you calculate your startup costs. And so typically it's going to include a calculation of all the startup costs, but it's always a good idea to review those. You may have already done it in your business plan, but I want you to take a look at it again. That's why I've put it in this step, because prices go up or pricing changes. And we saw that substantially in 2020. So depending on the length of time that passes between writing your business plan and actually launching, you want to make sure that you calculate those startup costs again, identify all of your startup expenses, which typically needs to include paying yourself something. That's part of your startup expenses, and then just develop that full financial picture. All right, so once you're clear on your startup costs and your first year financials, now it's time to fund your business. And I've got so many clients that are just convinced that they need to have all the funding lined up first before they even write a business plan. Because in their mind, why take the time to write a business plan if they don't have the money to start the business? And I get that. But here's how I want you to think about it. You would never tell your 5-year-old not to go to school because you don't have the money to send them to college. They go to school because no matter if they go to college or not, that basic education is helpful in their life. And when it comes to funding a business, you don't want to start with funding it in mind, because that can actually limit your thinking or it can expand your thinking, kind of unnecessarily, right? You want to start with a well-researched, viable business plan. And then you want to determine what funding is required to be successful, rather than starting with a dollar amount first and then trying to force your success into that number. That's actually a great recipe for failure, right? So your business plan and your financials are going to dictate the funding that you require to launch. And then it's your job to go find that funding. And so if you want to understand the 7 different options that you have for funding a small business right here in Wyoming, then I really recommend that you attend my webinar next Tuesday night on that very topic. So you can attend it live with us, or you can check out the recording on our YouTube channel at your convenience. But I walk you through all 7 options for any small business to get funding and what they are. What makes the most sense for different types of businesses. I cover the whole gamut. So encourage you to check that out once you get to that stage of funding, or if you're curious now. All right, so if you have your plan and your funding secured, then it's time to launch your business. And that's where the real fun hopefully begins. And so remember, we're here for you every step of the way. We work with existing micro enterprises to help them really sustain their business, because making it past your second year in business is where the real magic starts to happen. And statistically, unfortunately, only 50% of all businesses make it to that point. So we're here to try and help change those odds. And I always encourage clients to seek out as much assistance and support as you can get. Wyoming is just full of resources and people that want to support your dream. And really all that it requires is that you participate. And so remember that there's all different types of economic development agencies across the state. The Women's Business Center is just one. And so if you kind of come to the end of our resources and still feel like you need some guidance and some assistance or some additional resources, then feel free to go out to other partner programs, across the state. Frankly, we're all on the same team here. We want to see entrepreneurs win in the state of Wyoming. That's why we all do what we do. So I'm a big believer in accessing any and all resources that you can get your hands on. Okay, so I've left a little bit of time for questions, and so I'll let you guys type questions into the Q&A panel there for me. And while you do that, there's some contact information on the screen if you'd like to contact me directly. My phone and my email is there. Also, our business counselor, Jonathan Howdyshell, his contact information is there as well. So either one of us are available to do business counseling, and we're excited to potentially work with new clients. So the Women's Business Center is made possible through lots of different partnership agencies, but our primary funding comes from the Small Business Administration, a federal grant, which is then matched by a state grant given to us by the Wyoming Business Council. And so we also have some additional funders. We're thankful for everybody's support of the Wyoming Women's Business Center, and we look forward to the work ahead. So that upcoming training that I was talking about, that 7 options to access money for your small business, it is happening next Tuesday. So look forward to seeing you guys on that webinar if you have an interest in understanding funding sources. And then we also have some good webinars coming up for artists. It's a special Artist Insight series on creating your 2021 holiday marketing plan and also building your Shop Small campaign. So one coming up this week, and then another one in October. And then early October, we have a marketing webinar on 15 tips for writing effective email marketing copy. So for those of you that are at that stage, or if you know any business owners that are at that stage in their business where they're ready to start doing some email marketing, highly recommend you attend that. Again, all of our webinars are recorded and available for you on our YouTube channel at no charge. So be sure to pop over there, subscribe, and check out the additional resources. All right, I'm just going to check my Q&A really quick and see what we've got. I do have a tendency to be thorough, so sometimes I don't get many questions. Looks like that is the case tonight. Thank you so much for attending. When we close, I'm going to ask that you complete this survey at the end of our webinar. It just helps us with future planning and gives us kind of a pulse of how we're doing with our resources. So thanks everybody again for attending tonight, and we will see you next time. Thanks, bye-bye.